Peace and love to the gods and the goddesses. I go by the Black. Peace and love to the gods and the goddesses. I go by the name Black.Poet, act like you know it, and this is No PC Radio. And to my left, I am rocking with
Shelby Love.
Spiritual K.
Ingenious Key.
Oh, dang, I know I had to have an adjective in front of my name. Chioki.
That's fine. Initially, when I wanted to do this, it was going to be a panel of all black men talking about how to survive in modern day Babylon. But by nature, the Most High decided to switch up the panel, and now we have the female perspective.
Whoa.
And I'm glad, because I guess that information could be useful regardless. It's just that I see a lot of black men kind of following the wayward path of money over spiritual wellness. So the first question I will ask, y'all can answer for the women. What would your advice be to the young black male who's looking at everything that's going on around him, saying, well, if there's a God, why so much poverty? Why so much calamity? Why so much whatever that exists in these impoverished conditions? And we will start with you.
Start with me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said he was going to ask ladies.
I'll go to the women after.
Okay. I would say that God is always present. And even though he is, I believe him to be all-knowing, all-powerful, I also believe that he gives us freedom of choice. And so when we ask, why is this happening or why is that happening, it's because people are making those choices.
Yeah.
And I believe that some of those choices, like you said, are driven by a desire for wealth, or people following their own fleshly desires. So whatever I want it, and I'm going to go out and get it at the cost of anybody else or at the cost of my own peril. And so when we ask that, I think some people try to, when they ask that question, it's framed in such a way where they're blaming God. Well, like, well, if you're really God, why don't you stop this?
For sure. Right.
Yeah. And then the question then becomes, for me, just to be 100% real, is like, if you either gonna give him control or you not.
Yeah.
And so you can't do what you want to do.
Come on.
And then blame him because he did not stop X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
The Bible also says, you know, in life we just have struggles. There are struggles that we have in life. It rains on the just as well as the unjust. So some things we encounter that help to build us up, help us to build up endurance, help us to build up knowledge on how to handle things better. But I think a large portion of that is that we have the ability to make choices, and sometimes we have to learn how to be responsible for those choices that we make.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%. For me, I look at it like God gives us free will to be able to choose. The whole poverty thing is this. It's simple. It's simple laws of duality. If people are rich, then by default, people have to be in poverty. Because you wouldn't even know what that poverty or the riches is without one another. It's just like hot and cold. You need the opposite of that to be able to experience that. But to the question of if God is real and ruling, you got to make God a part of your life. So if God is not a part of your life, see, poverty is a result of spiritual, it's a spiritual imbalance.
That's deep, man.
Spirituality is a direct, or wealth is a direct result of your spirituality. If it's aligned correctly. Now we know people do things corruptly, but real riches and abundance and wealth is attracted, and through your relationship with your Creator, whomever you call it, that's how you get to the wealth. So stop taking this passive approach to your God. Like, stop sitting back and say, God, why this? Sometimes God put you in poverty. So you just look at, I'm gonna just give a couple examples. Steve Harvey, he talk about how you sleeping in his car. Tyler Perry, we listen to these people who had unwavering faith in their Creator, and they made something out of nothing. So sometimes your Creator gonna put you in a certain position so you can actually push yourself and grow into who you need to be spiritually, mentally, financially. That's how that goes. So we got to stop taking the back seat and get in the front seat.
I'm so happy you said what you just said, because that's an angle I didn't think about. It's very much appreciated. For me, I would say it like this. I think the media is Satan. I'm sorry. I know we're going to call it, for the sake of the conversation, we're going to call it the Illuma. We're not going to say that on YouTube because they shadow ban people for saying things. But I do think there is a group of people who have a lot of money and wealth, and they've had it since the inception of the Tudor dynasty, which modern day would be like Meghan Markle married who? Prince William
Meghan
or
Markle,
Prince Henry?
Prince William, Prince Wait,
Which
is
one?
it Prince?
Prince somebody.
Is it Harry? I think it's Harry, right? Harry and Meghan, yeah.
Whichever one, that's the son or the grandson of Queen Elizabeth II, not Queen Elizabeth from the 1600s. And that family has had power since 800 AD, and their constituency has had power since about that time. And I think they have a conglomerate that's saying, we're going to push the most low vibrational messages that we can push in order to create a great disparity in the caste system. The people at the top of the top are going to eat, and the people at the bottom are going to remain at the bottom. So my message would be, hey, turn off the television. Don't
Turn the TV off.
Turn the TV off.
don't be on social media. Don't get your cues basically from the media or social media, because it's just people venting. It's not like the vocal minority is real life. Actually, I would say most people that are more spiritually in tune aren't on social media all day unless they're marketing something that they do for a living. But trying to bounce your frequency off of what's pushed in the media, even when I look at the younger women, had my cousin come in at like 18, 19, and the way that she dressed, she was in a corset with some jeans on. That's basically like upper top is lingerie. And I'm like, where are you going? Are you going to put a shirt on? And she's like, don't tell me what to do. Don't police my body. The phrasing of don't police my body is terminology that you got from social media. You wouldn't have been saying that to me if you weren't being influenced by somewhere.
So like high key.
Materialism being pushed as much as it is, in my opinion, is on purpose, so people focus on their reptilian brain or their lower self and not their higher self. So turn it. When we do 40-day fast, we're always talking about food, alcohol, weed, maybe what else? I don't know, sex. Social media should be a part of that fast.
100%.
Absolutely.
Center back into self, and listen to the messages that the Most Higher Spirit is giving you, ladies. Yeah.
I was like,
Whoever wants to hop in first.
Yeah.
So what I can say, I'm not gonna speak too much when it comes to like handling mail, because I'll leave that up to the male to guide the male. But what I can say is I agree with both of these gentlemen right here. God is always present, and God gives you free will. So with this free will, you are choose to follow God, or you are choose to ignore God. And so there's three currencies in this world. We have knowledge, money, and time. So with that being said,
can I just add attention? I just want to add attention.
Attention?
That is a form of currency, but go ahead.
okay. All right, we will dive deep into that, because I actually want to elaborate more on that too. Like, help me to understand that part. So we have time, knowledge, and money are the three currencies. And so if you answering your calling and answering your purpose, because what these people who do rule the world and dish out the money, what they can't take from you is your knowledge of self. And so how do you utilize that knowledge of self to actually make you currency in this physical world, which is money? So
Bars.
you can just take what you know about yourself and then turn it into currency, like money. Like, say we have herbalists. They take how to feed their own soul and send it out to the masses, and then they are exchanging their time and their knowledge for money, and then vice versa. So that's how I feel like we all can take control of our own life and our own destinies, by knowing our own destiny and connecting with God. And then how do we balance our spiritual self and our physical self and allow both of them to coexist together? And so then it's like, what can they take from you? Because also at the end of the day, nothing is a coincidence.
Facts.
Everything is
Absolutely.
metaphysical and quantum physics, which is the book that I sent you.
Appreciate
so
that.
everything happens up there in the God world or in the heavens, for whichever you guys describe it as, before it even reaches the physical
physical.
world.
Spirit realm, yeah.
And what you said about a lot of times your life will reflect basically your actions or your frequency, where you are vibrationally, directly reflects what you're saying.
Yeah,
where
so
a lot of
like,
the times, whatever you're written for, I'm not saying everybody be the richest.
Yeah.
Because Bill Gates and them type of people have a different type of money.
God.
Just buy a country type of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're blessed with a certain gift, a herbalist, a speaker, I don't know, teacher, whatever it is that you're born to do, you can monetize that too. You don't have to be a manufacturer or a laborer.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Unless you like, there's certain people that do like those jobs.
Yeah.
Exactly,
But,
but
like,
they give you
if-
distractions, so you won't be
100%.
able to find that purpose. So you
Yeah.
won't be able to find who you are. Like I literally lost friends. I wasn't watching TV. I was just reading books and finding who I was in 2020, and that is how I got to even attracting podcasts or even just where I'm at in my music, how I just met all of you guys, even met you. Like I did not know anybody coming to the scene.
Yeah.
But then I read so much into who I am, trying to find who I am, that literally everything that I'm doing now is literally in reflection of
That's right.
what's on the inside.
Facts.
So
I was 2022. 2020, baby.
that's 22.
What's your ism?
My ism. I love that. I mean everything that
Nobody was gonna
everybody's
tell me
saying.
my bandana is crazy. Y'all just, you know what?
I thought you was expressing yourself.
I was like, I
Who am I to correct this man's bandana?
You see that?
That's my own
That's all.
individuality, brother.
You see that little string?
Let me
Okay.
just.
I mean, I honestly don't know the proper way of a bandana, so
I was gonna say it's fine. Okay, that's
Can't
better.
do that.
That's
No,
better.
it's not. Look, you know what?
Say it.
The one. Go ahead.
Okay. A lot of what everyone was saying, I think we're all in agreement for sure. I mean, I do believe in generational curses for sure.
Wow, that's
but,
deep.
But I mean, it is deep. But that's like poverty being a generational curse, and anything that's not God is from sin. Like anything that's not good is not from God. And I believe that God is good all the time, like because He is. But I know that in that choice of free will, like
Hold
you have to.
on. I don't know the word well enough
Okay.
to quote where this is.
Yep.
But it does say in the Old Testament that the sons of the sinner will be cursed down to the third
Yes,
or
it
fourth
does.
generation.
Yes, it does.
Do you believe in that? Or do you think that is for the times?
I believe in that particular, I would have to go to that particular scripture. In that particular, I think it was something very specific for that moment.
Yeah.
Where God was telling them, okay, this is what you do. But I think to make it more basic, I think a lot of times people over spiritualize things and make things spooky.
Facts.
I will say this. We was crazy. We was actually talking about generational curses at church the other day. And my stance is this, is that most of the time it's not as much of a curse as it is taught behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the curse itself is in, like,
Yep.
I'm cursing myself because I'm teaching
The
my
next-
child
yep,
this,
yep.
my bad choices. I'm teaching them X, Y, and Z. So I think that gets passed down. And so the curse is
Yeah.
in the I am carrying this and I know it's not good. And I might not know how to change it.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to find out how to change it,
Absolutely.
I'm going to pass it down.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say
know-
not the curse, like you're cursed
Oh,
and
yeah,
can
yeah,
never.
yeah, I got you.
Like, let me make sure that's clear. It's not that you're cursed indefinitely and can never come out of it.
Right.
Yeah, but rather, my
Yeah.
parents. This is how my parents did it. This is what they taught me. I didn't even know there was another option. Until
Exactly.
now.
Facts.
And now that I know it's
That's
the other
it.
option, I'm going to do the other. Or there's some people who know that there's another option and still will subscribe to what they're used to because they just, it's so uncomfortable being outside of what you know that you're like, I just can't. And those people are sometimes the same people who just always got a 9 to 5, can never get out of the 9 to 5 cycle, right? Or people who can never, like, you see people who gamble, right? They just can't let go of that fix. I just gotta, they could be dirt, broke on the street, but they just can't, whatever is making them feel like getting that high from gambling that money is more important than putting in the work and the time to break free of that is what's going to keep them in that cycle.
And that's what you see. Like if we're talking, like if you like Old Testament, that's what you see.
Yeah.
Like generation after generation, they did the same thing because they taught. Like if you look when they were coming out of Egypt, the Bible says like it grew up a generation and they didn't know God. Well, why didn't they know God? Because their parents ain't tell them about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm a kid coming out of Egypt, I see my parents build this golden calf. I see my parents worship it.
Mom and dad said the golden calf is the way, so the golden calf is the way.
I'm rocking with the calf. So when you introduce anything else, it's like, huh?
At least a hesitation at first.
Right. Yeah.
Like, in general, that's denomination, period. But that's funny because in African spirituality, you got Hathor, the cow goddess, and I think a lot of the scriptures talk about, as old as that is, talks about the other denominations that existed at the time that still exist to this day. There are still people that we would call it pagan now, but there are still people that kind of get into what is called the netter. And it makes me ask way too many questions about what's metaphysical, what's pagan, what's Western, what's dogma, and we won't do that today because we don't have the time. That's not even this episode. But I want to y'all back to expound on that.
Like, woo.
But what you said about wiring of the mind, that's what that makes me think of, because this is dude named Joseph Dispenza.
Absolutely.
Joseph Dispenza, bro. Breaking down how
I never heard
once
him.
you get your brain specifically hooked on a certain type of reaction chemically, cooked. Whether it's gambling, caffeine, whatever that thing is.
It's a scripture. As a man thinketh, so is he.
But yes, but for the people who aren't spiritual, even just straight up biochemically.
Yeah.
If you hook yourself on a certain type of, whether it's dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, all these different big circles with strings on them, you know what I'm talking about? All of those big chemicals. I'm not a scientist. You're hooked.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what it is. And you have to fast from it. If you don't,
it becomes your God. It becomes your God.
It does.
You make an idol.
Absolutely.
I wanted to add on to that too, because see what you said, the 9 to 5 behavior, poverty is taught because the masses think that you got to trade your time for money. So intuitive, like we grew up and we've been taught to trade your time for money.
Yep.
That's why we think everything costs so much, because we trading your physical energy for money. But these wealthy people is not doing that.
Yeah.
So it's the generational wealth or generational curses is just a matter of information.
Yeah.
What information is being transferred down? How am I attaining these money? Am I creating wealth producing assets?
Yep.
Or is my job my only way of making money?
Bars.
Am I investing in the stock market? Am I investing in myself?
You have multiple
All these
streams of
different-
income.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Can I go to sleep and make some money?
Man, I heard Judge Joe Brown speak saying the new middle class now, if you have children, you would need to make roughly somewhere around $140,000 to live a comfortable life
Bro,
yearly.
that's crazy.
Like just with how expensive everything is, et cetera, whether it's joint or single, like if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to live as freely as you would want to. So you definitely 100% need multiple streams of income.
Absolutely.
Or at least something that you're doing that resonates with the soul, where your lifestyle is comfortable. I mean, whatever you do, 2-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, but it has to be figured out. But don't put that over the spirit, because that's when you start to decay, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or physically.
And I will say to this, I studied this guy named Myron Golden. He created the 4 levels of value. Certain activities that we do is higher up on the frequency chart. What you mean by that? What I mean by it is this. Certain jobs and activities is lower. It's a lower frequency, so you're not going to attract as much wealth doing the activities. So it's 4 levels of value. Implementation is the first thing. That means I'm physically doing something. Unification is the second one. That means I'm exercising my management skills. I'm teaching people how to do something. Communication is the third rank, and all these different things have levels of money that you can make. Right. Communication is the third one. Right. This is my voice. I'm creating messages that move the masses. My conversation is creating cash flow. Podcasters, streamers, artists, they make a lot of money off their voice. That's it, off their voice, in the streaming and things of that nature. But the highest level of value is imagination.
I love
Meaning I can take a thought and make some money. Elon Musk, I can take a thought and create something and make some money off of it.
Bro, I don't
and
wanna
I can
cut
go
you
to
off.
sleep and make money.
I've been upset about that because I'm like, yo, I could really create something just off of just thinking it. I'm so sick that people created something right before I did.
The core of everything
Come on,
metaphysically
man.
is having what you call imagination, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing from the spirit realm and being able to anchor it down into the physical realm.
But that's also
Absolutely.
where artists come from. That's why
Facts.
artists is more it's so wealthy, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's what dominant and controlling the world is because it's creation, it's
Exactly.
Literally
creating.
creation.
And so that's why you have
Wow,
the
that's
power
deep.
when you get into music. You have the power to shift the world. You have the power to shift the world to a positive spiral, or you have the power to shift the world to a negative spiral. And so that's also why I decided to get into music, because being a creator and just being able to just create something, like even sometimes my music come from my dreams.
Yeah.
Like I be dreaming and
That's
I be hearing music
Same.
in my
Yeah,
dreams. So,
right.
like I feel like music, because also music is a universal language. When you hear music, you're hearing the earth frequency being played.
Exactly.
That's where music come from.
Too deep. I'm not doing.
It's like,
You know that John, it's like a Venn diagram, Vesica Pisces, or however you would say that, and that's the Earth's magnetic frequency, and like tapping into it is how you would get those. Look, I'm not doing this with you. We're gonna come back on the metaphysical tip.
I'm like, whoa. Okay.
I want to go into grief. A lot of men that I meet do not know how to properly grieve. How do I write it down? You heal from pain by embracing it, not acting like it isn't there. I think a lot of people bottle their emotion, especially men, because they're judged socially, not necessarily in real life when you touch grass and meet people, but they're judged socially on, oh, if you cry, you're weak. If you emote too much, you're weak. What would you say the proper way to deal with grief is? Because I think if more people would learn how to deal with what they went through, their trauma, the world wouldn't be so incredibly screwed up. Shout out to the child in here. This is PC radio for today. How your advice on how to deal with grief?
There are a couple of ways, and I normally talk about this from two different positions. Number one, I always put God first, so I have the pastorish side, but then I'm a licensed therapist too. So it's two sides, but I think they all come together. I think what you said is extremely important. You can't act like it does not exist.
Facts.
You use the word embrace it. I would use the word put it in a headlock. Like you gotta grasp, like we have to understand that some stuff we're gonna have to wrestle with, and we have to be okay with the fact that I gotta wrestle with this.
Yeah.
Like you're not always gonna have the answer to everything. So some of your grief
Humility.
process is gonna be dealing with the fact of I can't find the answer why.
Yeah.
Or I can't, being willing to accept, I don't know how I feel. Because I think one of the things, especially with men, since we're problem solvers and we're fixers, one of the struggles that we have is like, I have this and I'm so used to being able to fix stuff so fast. Now I got something that I can't fix and I don't know what to do with it.
Just scratching your head.
Yeah.
Confused.
So I think, number one, admitting that, something is going on with me. I am upset. I am sad. Being able to find a support system, whether that's through friends, family, therapists, a support system somewhere where you can freely express how you feel in a place where you are not judged about how you feel. One of the best techniques that I have people do, I work with kids primarily. So when my kids are sent to me and they going nuts, like they done cussed out everybody, they done flipped tables and chairs and stuff like that, I'm like,
I'm sorry, what's the age group?
my age group right now is 12 to 17.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm a principal at a middle high school. So I got
That's a good.
That's the one.
six to-
That's
the
that group.
one.
That's that group.
listen, they are that group. But one of
Man.
the things I had them do, I'd say, okay, well, listen, tell me what's wrong. If they can't verbalize it, all right, do this. Take a piece of paper, write down everything you feel. Don't erase nothing. Now, don't let them erase. Don't scratch nothing out. Write exactly what you feel. If you writing it comes out a scribble, just leave a scribble on the page and write till it's all out. And then once it's all out there, now we can go back and look at it and say, okay, let's piece this together.
Yeah.
Bars.
This is what you're feeling. All right, now let's try to trace some of these feelings back to where it's coming from. A lot of people are unable to trace where their emotions are coming from or what's triggered their emotion.
Yeah.
So I'm upset and I really don't understand why I'm upset. And so when you're in a safe space where you can get everything out, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I understand I'm upset. When the teacher said this, it made me mad because my daddy used to say this to me.
Yeah.
I don't mean it. I feel like God talks to me a lot through physical practice because I'm stubborn. And you said something like, I think pride, I don't think the 7 deadly sins are necessarily directly mentioned in the scriptures or what the commandments are, but people have taken the scriptures and kind of saying these pinpointed things lead to damnation. For me, pride is big, where you say, I'm used to troubleshooting and I can figure this out. But for the first time, I'm like, this one might be a little insurmountable. I might need something bigger than myself. And with pride, for me, exactly what you're saying, where you're looking at it like, let me write this out and process the root. And when I was doing landscaping, and they said, you're picking at the blades. You're not digging in the soil to pull the root out, so that the crops or the what do they call it? The weeds die. And I'm like, that's low-key a metaphor for real life.
It is.
Because whatever you don't uproot will grow again.
Exactly.
And so that's where we get into this stuff that we're talking about, because you have an issue, you don't touch the root, you keep picking at the leaves. So you're picking at the leaves by trying to figure out, you think money gonna solve all your problems. So you're picking at the money leaf, and it's something way below there,
way deeper,
that you need to pick up. And so that's why, like we talked about people in poverty, but we also have people that have all this money and still are unhappy.
And don't know
have
why.
all this money and still committing suicide. They're having all this money and still have issues because they're not dealing with the heart of the matter or the root of it. So I would encourage people, like, as a practical thing, like when you are upset, especially for men, write everything you're feeling down, because that way it's on paper in front of you and you're forced to look at it.
Yeah, you can look at it.
You can't hide it from yourself no more. You can't act like it don't exist, because it is sitting there staring at you.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, now that this is out, now I can go step by step.
I could do a whole episode on that, because I think specifically men run away from a lot of their triggers because you don't want to admit to yourself what you're ashamed of. You want to be big alpha man, and it's like, nah, what about this? What about that? That humility with yourself is so imperative to growth. But go ahead.
I think they don't know how to deal with it.
Expound.
Yeah.
These urban communities, when have your father or a male figure
That's good.
sat you down and say, hey, listen, son, this is how you deal with X, Y, Z.
Right.
Emotional intelligence is rare from especially that generation.
So where we gonna learn it from?
Especially.
You gonna have to go get some higher degree of information like the brother have got.
Yeah.
In certain areas of information, of emotion, to be able to understand our outlet. But for me, what I say is, you got to figure. I look at it like it's energy. You got to figure out a way how to release it, how to maneuver it, how to. That's what emotion is, right? Energy, emotion. So you got to figure out a way. Okay, I feel this right here. What do I do? For me, I go to the gym and I was
about to say, sometimes you have to
If I'm
box.
angry or something,
You gotta hit something.
If I'm
man.
angry,
I know that's not healthy.
I'm going.
They have
So that's facts. Testosterone is
the
different, bro. Like
rooms or whatever.
Yeah,
Right now,
break rooms
all
are
these different things are coming out now. You get the rage rooms, you get the gym, you get you get singing. Sometimes you can get poetry, journaling. Like the brother said, that's exactly
I
what it
think
is.
running it off physically is a
You
great
have to
example.
figure out a way to get it out your system.
Yeah.
Get it out.
Because that's energy. It's stored up on the chakra system tip. I know that's not spiritual per se, but I believe the chakra system is a complete real thing. Hinduism is a very old religion. African spirituality describes it too. That's two completely different continents from 6,000 years ago, saying the spirit has a body too. And they call it the light body or the I think that's a real thing. I don't think that's just hocus pocus magic shit. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that's a real thing. You have to, the same way, pause, you're drinking water, you have to go to the bathroom. There is spiritual buildup too that needs to be released. And if you don't release it, you'll start to be a little, trippy. Go ahead.
Word.
What I do want to add too is that, like, men do feel their emotions, but they interpret it as anger, or they resort to anger.
Facts.
And like everyone was basically saying, is a lot of their emotions do store into their body, and you do need something to be able to release those emotions, whether if it's journaling, something healthy to release these emotions. Because I don't want to just say release these emotions. They say, oh, I'm gonna go hit,
I'm gonna go hit
hit something that got tobacco in it, or or some alcohol, and that's gonna take away my pain.
It really
And
does not.
It
that
never
also
does.
is a bad habit that men get into when they are feeling emotions. They get into heavy drugs,
Yeah.
and they also don't really know how to just tap into themselves and let go of the distractions. They don't know how to just sit back and relax and feel their emotions. Also because they're more physical. And also they don't have no support system. Also because women is telling you, the second a woman see you sitting down, she up. What are you doing? Why do you just keep sitting down? Get up. Go do some work. You know, like.
Go do something.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Man.
Gonna touch that right now. Yeah. We love the sisters,
You
but
know,
I mean,
but men
healthy
do
communication.
need support
Yes,
system.
come
How
on
can
now.
we say that you want a man who's in tune with his emotions, and the moment that he expresses emotions to you, you call him
sassy.
weak?
Yeah.
or
You
he's
call him
sassy.
sassy.
Yeah.
So you want a man that's in tune with his emotions. Journal these things out. Cause I got male friends.
So let me
who-
ask something because I want to get it from the female perspective. How do you deal with your emotions? And just a short answer: do you feel like women are more emotional than men, or is that a social construct?
I feel like
I want to hear
it
what she
could
says.
be a social construct, but if we're just naturally just talking about emotions in general and which side plays the emotional part, which is the feminine energy, because I feel like male and female can tap into the feminine energy.
100%.
But
Yeah.
it is just a woman's strong suit to tap more into that.
For sure.
But actually being more strong suited in their emotions will be the woman. And knowing how to deal with their emotions, only because I feel like, I ain't gonna say only, I'm not gonna use that word only, but some of the reasons be because women, we're not looked at as let's get out here and go do it and action.
So you get the time to
we
sit
get
still.
the time to actually sit down.
And you're not judged for it.
Yeah, we're not judged for it.
Yeah.
Because anytime a girl comes to you complaining, or you're just being a girl, a dude comes to you complaining, oh, you acting like a woman. And so it's just like,
Interesting.
if like, you know, because a woman can be non-emotional too.
Oh,
Don't get me
absolutely.
wrong. A
Whoa.
woman, and
I know
it
5 off the
still
top of my
blows
head
my
right
mind.
And it's a very dangerous place to be.
I want
Like,
to ask you, dealing with your emotions as a woman, what does that look like? What is the healing factor? Because
man.
there are some women that kind of get into the vices and the this and the that too.
I was about to say that's why I left the life.
That's the life.
No, but I mean, I was raised in church, but when I went to college, it was very much not taught to me how to process my emotions well.
That's right.
From both my parents. So my mom and my dad were kind of just like, they were just these happy, boisterous, like in your face people, very social butterfly like me, but they didn't talk about the real stuff. So it was kind of like, as far as the generational curse is going, okay, cool, we have the ability to be loving and nice and kind to everybody else, but when we're sitting by ourselves at night, it's all this emotional chaos that's going on that I don't know how to deal with. So when I got to college and was able and didn't have my parents with me and was able to just do whatever I wanted to try and feel better, that's when it was like, okay, I'm gonna reach for the bottle, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna do this. And all that happened was it just made it worse. I got more depressed. I was like in my
Facts.
room by myself in the dark. Like that.
And I don't think that's a
Yeah.
gender specific issue. I think
Nope.
that's period in life. A lot of the times when you can't deal with your emotions, like you said, you go to devices.
Yeah.
And they stop working because when you match your tolerance, now you got to double your dosage, and now
Absolutely.
you realize, wait a minute, I'm forming a pattern.
Well, also,
Yeah.
people don't really get themselves time for their emotions to regulate, for your nervous system to even calm down. I can
Oh,
say
yeah.
that because sometimes I'm guilty. You know, sometimes I don't give
Facts.
myself enough time to
Girl.
regulate my own emotions. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it got to stop right now. This feeling that I'm feeling, it needs to
Yep.
stop some way,
Yep.
somehow. And
Yep.
however way that this is going to make me feel better is the way that I'm going to go to. It may not be the
fastest way.
healthiest way.
Yeah.
It may not be, you know, it's just really like she
No,
said,
that's
it's
what
the
it is.
fastest way.
And I think that's a spiral into what the Western Christians call sin, but like just the opposite of whatever the spirit is fleshly. Like now we're going to go sleep with the first person that ex that you know is toxic that you ain't got no business
Absolutely
laying
no.
with.
Absolutely no. And that's
Yeah.
conveniently the same person who will text you in that moment.
You're right.
He's
See,
like,
that's spiritual warfare.
Oh, yeah.
They be ready.
Oh yeah. At the moment,
going through that
and it
right
can go
now.
both
Like the devil
ways.
tapping you in the game, big dog.
Literally. He's like,
Yo.
go text her.
Yo.
Go text her
Phil
right
Jackson.
now. Yup.
Hey, you right here.
That is the exact thing that I'm going through right now.
Child.
And I could say before, the old me used to before I became more mature in my emotions and really just be like, I'm in charge of stopping my own toxicity, these own horrible cycles that I no longer want to be in. I gotta understand how I was playing a part into it. So right now I am dealing with someone. We've been going very good for a year. So then now a person that's from my past that was actually kept me in my purgatory, trying to come back. And then when I'm looking at their lifestyle and I'm looking at the lifestyle I'm creating for myself now, which is actually where I want to be and what fits me more spiritual at core, I'm looking like, damn, you really was my downfall. Just being in that energy, being in around all of that when you're not even taking life serious. You still think we gonna party, and it's, I'm gonna use my, I'm getting too deep into that. But basically, I have
Just if you could give
passed the test.
No, that
If
means
you
that
could
you be
give
like, let me
me
pass the test, please,
a
Lord.
short, like literally a 1 sentence answer to this. You as a woman and you saw that then, did you see it then? And if you saw it then, why didn't you walk away then?
Come on.
1 sentence.
That's good.
Oh, why didn't I walk away then?
Did you see it?
I seen it.
Why didn't you leave?
Why didn't I leave?
I feel like women are programmed to obey men on a patriarchal tip, but that says holy men, not just men, period. There are low vibrational men. So why didn't you leave?
Like, why didn't I see it with the
And when you
past
saw it, why?
person?
Yeah, the past person.
Like,
why didn't you go?
didn't I leave
and dip
them?
off? Yeah.
I could say my understanding for trauma.
Yeah.
And that's the answer. 1 sentence.
Yeah.
You gonna say something?
See?
I was gonna add, man, I was heavy what you were saying. I think I lost my thought, but it was relating to emotions, and I was gonna say that it's pretty much I lost the thought.
Interracial dating, I want to get into this real quick because I hear a lot of brothers that are in a different denomination. Shout out to the Hebrew Israelites. Shout out to the Nation of Islam. I travel. They call it the white she-devil. Now, I'm not saying that.
Wow.
I don't necessarily separate. I think the righteous are the righteous. I think the unrighteous are the unrighteous regardless of race. When Jonathan Majors got in trouble, the entirety of the black community went against him, not because he was guilty and he hit that woman, because we got him on video running away from an ass whooping. But they still went against him because they feel like that is your karma for dating outside your race. Shout out to Dr. Umar. That is the new trend. Becoming pro-black, unfortunately, has become anti-white, and I don't subscribe to that. So when it comes to interracial marriage, if I can get a 1 sentence or a minute apiece, do you feel like that is a violation as a black man, or woman, or do you feel like it don't matter, love who you love, connect who you connect with?
I think that there are so many things to consider when picking a mate.
Facts.
And race alone should not be the top factor.
Agreed.
Now, the social constructs that are attached with it, like when you're picking a mate, you need to pick somebody that understands or is able to or has a desire to understand your background and what that means and how they play a role in it, what they agree with, what they don't agree with. So if I see, I don't have a Umar switch when I see somebody, with somebody that's outside of the race. It's like, okay, is that person good for you? Is that person willing to lay down their life for you? Are they willing to learn from you? Are they willing to teach you? So that's where I'm at with. So I don't think it's a downfall unless like a person can be any color and be trash.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's
I think it's only a problem if you fetishize the other race like they're better than your race because of your experiences.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Metaphysically, though, I'm not going to say I believe in reincarnation, but I am not opposed to the concept. So let's say you could have incarnated in any tribe before. How would you be able to say that this tribe is bad or not if your soul could have been at any place at any time? I don't know. I've never subscribed to it because I always thought about it like that. Like, what if I was born in the Middle East? Wouldn't I be, a Muslim? Like, if I was born here, would I been, you know what I mean? So it's an abstract concept because I cannot prove this, that, and the third. But I always think about it from the perspective of if you were born in a certain tribe, you would be tribal. So maybe it's not about being pure just in the tribalism, but just in witnessing or recognizing who's upright and who isn't. Go ahead.
So what I can say is I used to go back and forth. At first, growing up as a kid, I didn't think badly about interracial dating, and then as I got older, I started to understand why I myself possibly would not entertain interracial dating. And it's reasons because I do believe in preservation of your own race. And so it's like, I feel like when people call you racist, they think, oh, because you don't like me, you're racist. Oh, because you do like me, you aren't racist. I also feel like, can you truly find true love when you're dating outside of your race? Meaning that someone who doesn't fetishizes about you, because when, and I'm not gonna say it's everybody, it's not every white person, not every black person, because usually people who do date outside their race is something that they fetishize about the opposite race. Just how white people fetishize about us.
I don't want to cut it off, but I do think there's something to be said about people who think that the other races of women are more traditional and less worldly.
Yeah,
that's
that
not
too.
true.
Yeah.
That too. But it's so many. It's so many. I feel like people are using the wrong reasons to say they want to go ahead and date outside outside their race.
If
you want to date outside your race and by any means you genuinely are attracted to the other race, but also people gotta also understand people attract and entertain their reflections, what they see, what they are more aligned with. I see myself in you and you see yourself in me. So that's why we are here together. Honestly, I do feel like relationships are a vehicle to bring you closer to yourself.
You said that before.
So it's like right now I'm still kind of like I'm on both sides with it when it comes to yes and no. It depends on how you are going about it and your reasoning. But a lot of people, especially black men, when they get to a certain level of income, they don't typically go for the black woman.
85% of black men are married to black women. I'm not gonna let you get that off. Go ahead.
Oh, that's good
Well,
to
for
know.
me, I'm Moorish American, so we don't desire to mix or amalgamate with any pale skinned nations of Europe.
Okay.
For that cause, and that, I like your point. The point is that it's race, it's self preservation. We when you get to mixing DNAs and stuff like that, it don't really go out like how it's supposed to, like, cause actually a couple things get lost, customs get lost, your traditions get lost.
That's fair.
Right? You get further down the line, you don't even know left from right. You don't know because we all have genetic things that we're supposed to do for our own type of people.
I was about to say,
that's why the
even
Arabic
in diet, it's
exactly,
a difference in how we eat versus how the American diet is.
And and for them, for specifically represent pale skins, they have a
Can
certain.
we just call them Caucasian so I can post this on YouTube?
Europeans, Caucasoids. I'm sorry. I mean, they call us black.
Get his lingo off, because I'm about to call somebody pale.
I mean, they call us black, so I'm just they pale, right? So
Wow, that's deep.
Exactly, the psychology behind it. But here's the thing: like, it's a couple different reasons. So one is your customs being lost. Two is different genetic things going on. Three, just look at the societal way of how things are going. With like anytime you gotta think about it. Anytime you mix the Eve gene that these sisters got right here, anytime you mix that with that, you with Caucasoids, then you get something different.
So I'm glad you said which. So
you know
I
what I'm
know
saying?
this ism,
Yeah.
and this is my hold up on what they're talking about. In every other way, I'm fine with it, but they do say the mitochondria of certain tribes mixed with the mitochondria of other tribes changes the spiritual connection.
Exactly, and I'm not trying to be funny against anybody.
I don't know how deep that is or if it's true, but that is an ism that's out here.
Exactly, and I'm not trying to be funny against anybody that's got black, quote unquote, black and white in their family, but you have to just look at monitor. I just want y'all to monitor the behavior of how.
Okay, let's just.
You know what I'm saying?
Please, God.
I'm not trying to be funny, but let me add this one thing.
Yeah.
This last thing, because this something related. This something whole different. Physical attraction and infatuation and these physical things aren't the only aspects of relationship.
Facts.
If I think somebody said it, y'all said it in another episode of No PC Radio. Y'all
Facts.
said familiarity breeds like basically you start to like somebody the more you come around them.
Yeah.
You can go around it. If I get around a European long enough, I'm gonna start to like her. But am I gonna mix and amalgamate with her? No. Why? Because it's certain things that's bigger than infatuation and attraction. We gotta build. That's what I'm on.
You just have me going in so many places.
So that I ain't
want to go there, but
Culturally,
I'm sorry.
I feel like
That's what I'm saying,
if you grow to a
everyone's
certain
racial
point, let's say you become some sort of big star, I do think that it says something representation-wise, who you choose to have on your arm. It might inspire others to either date within or without. So that is an aspect of it when you're talking about being quote unquote influential, because you don't want people to develop the mindset that the black man gets money and walks away from his race.
Yeah, no, I the mitochondria, all that other. I'm like, whoa! I never heard these things before.
I don't know if it's true, but that's the thing.
I have heard about the Eve gene for sure, but
all races.
I believe spiritually that all people have the ability to ascend to a godlike level. But go ahead.
No,
we're in agreement. We're in agreement. But I mean, I think the hard part about it is the history of America, the history of the world. And it's not that it can never be. Yeah, it's not that it can never work out or it can never be, but it always, I feel like as a black woman, I always kind of look twice when I see an interracial couple, because I'm like, okay, do they actually love each other? Is this real or is this fetishized? Because
trauma.
Because of that, because of everything that's happened. Like, there's been a lot of that on purpose. And so you're like, okay, I'm open, because as a Christian, I totally believe, like you said, that everybody's able to ascend, be, all the things. But I do look twice because I'm like, okay, it's just a very different experience. There's a long line of trauma generationally, both sides, that it's like,
it might make it difficult.
It makes it difficult. And then how can you, when it comes to certain things, like I remember people used to were saying this when the BLM movement was just starting, was just like looking at Kim Kardashian like, okay, how could she relate to her kids though? Like, how does she really understand what it's like? Because, I mean, yeah, they got money and they're privileged, so they're kind of in a special space. But like, when the movement happened and she was saying like, my children are black, like da-da-da-da, it's like, okay, but do you actually understand the weight of what you're talking about? And can you actually empathize on that level?
Oh,
I had to wrap it soon. You're going to say something. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say this.
But
We're
kind
gonna wrap this after this.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it goes back to the mitochondrial gene. And when you say like, how can Kim Kardashian really like relate to her children? And she says that her children are black. When you have only the black woman has the mitochondrial gene, which births all races. So even if a black man do decide to go interact with a woman of a different color, different cultural background, and then say if he does pass away, where do you feel like your white wife will be able to raise her children culturally to even know their black side?
Yeah.
And then also it's just like, eventually when you do have interracial kids, because of the social construct that is left on black people, they want to stray away from that.
Yeah.
I think you put the barbecue sauce on that one. I know some interracial people. I mean, some mulattoes. I don't know if that's a proper term.
Mulattoes.
But that are
if they aren't
Pan-African.
if they aren't accepted by their white family.
You kind of put him in you really put him in a compromising position if you think about it, because it's like,
why wouldn't you relate to both sides?
Because with the operations of divide and conquer, like just say the 2020 climate, you put him in a box. It is like, you want to be a part of them, but then they might look at you a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you ain't really with us. You know what I'm saying? But you with us, but you kind of not with us. So you really putting your children in a real position where they gotta overly, people that be mixed, like they overly be Black Lives Matter. Like they overdo it.
You're right.
It can happen. That happens a lot.
Because they want to prove they don't.
They want to prove they're black. Yeah.
They may have your skin tone, but a lot of the times they have the white mind.
And I'm gonna wrap it like this.
Wow.
I think it's something about being Americanized.
Absolutely.
Regardless of race, where you're not connecting to the indigenous practices, you start to trip out, because what they preach here is too materialistic, too capitalistic, too Charles Darwinism, to madness that just really disconnects you from the spirit, which takes it back to the base. Here's what I say on an interracial tip. When you travel and you meet people, I do find that a lot of people are upright. Regardless of race, there are a lot of white metaphysicians. Mexican, whatever. And so it's difficult for me to subscribe to the notion. They do say Ethiopia is the cradle of civilization. So if the black woman was the original woman and the black man was the original man, then everything would have spawned from that. And let's say that's the Most High's chosen elect. I don't know if that means that the Gentile, the people who aren't a descendant of Jacob, if it says the Most High is the God of the Jew and the Gentile, I don't know if that means that they are, what is the word? Basically not accepted into the promises. You know what I'm saying? That is a whole conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole.
And we'll get into that. Because I gotta wrap.
Because people got kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
100%.
They got kicked out, and people got cast out for certain reasons. So it should be real interesting with certain topics with different nationalities and intermixing into their culture, because you're not just intermixing into
But what if those cultures? That's what I'm saying. What if those cultures are not practicing? If someone not initially of the bloodline starts to practice righteous practices,
right?
What are we looking at? I don't want to get into that because of discerning spirit, but
I'm about to say that.
Because I don't, go ahead.
Study them like they study you.
Touch grass, meet people, and see what it is.
Touch the grass.
That's a part, because if we take out the mitochondria, because I ain't that versed in that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
I'm about to say low key. I'm like,
Put me on game.
what is that?
But one of the things that I see culturally working in education is that our own kids don't even know their own history.
Absolutely.
I asked them, it's Black History Month. I asked the most simplest of general Black history questions, and these kids is like, who?
Lord.
Who?
Jesus.
You will be hard pressed. I will put a quarter of a check on it, on my bi-weekly check, that most kids between the ages of 12, I'll talk about the grown men, 12 and 18, cannot say Martin Luther King.
Wow.
I done got Martha.
Yeah, and I work with
Martha Luther King.
Really?
And what
I thought you were gonna say
do?
like an unsung hero, but that's crazy.
But you know what I'm saying? And it just goes to. So when we get to the question, like you were asking, which is a very real question, if there's a Black father and the father dies, how's the mother going to raise that?
Yeah.
And then my question that I add on top of that was like, well, what are we teaching them as they grow up, that they have some sense of
Their identity.
Their identity, for sure.
And what they come from, and even, digging extremely deeper, because not all Black people are the same. If we trace back, my name's Chioki. It's Nigerian, but the dialect is Igbo. It took me a second to realize. Now, my name been Chioki my whole life. And I knew that my name was Nigerian. I just never knew that it was Igbo. Now, my parents knew. They never really broke it down to me. I never really asked them. I know what my name means. But it wasn't until I got around somebody that spoke Igbo, and they was like, hey, because everybody else would mess up my name. And this person read my name like, Chioki. I'm like, it's the first time anybody ever got it right. He was like, you Igbo? I'm like, I don't even know what Igbo is. He was like, well, it's a culture, a subculture of Nigeria, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was able to learn more. And so now I can pass that on.
Yeah.
And my kids know, okay, this is where, this is where it comes from. And so I think, that is an important question, because if you don't know where you come from, then you're lacking something in your ability to move forward, because you don't know. General stuff. If we ain't going super far back in history, I was drawn to counseling because my father worked in that field. So there's a part of me that I directly get from my father. Watching my father. My father ran group homes for young boys. So watching my father take care of other people. I'm understanding. I know how to regulate my emotions because my father dealt with me in that way when I was upset. It was you talking about, you said we don't get taught that. So my father would be like, hey, let's sit down and talk about what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I understand in a very natural sense, that's something that I get from my father. And then I also get this strong sense of who I am as a Black man because my father was a member of the Pan-African Congress. You know what I'm saying? My father worked security for Stokely Carmichael and all of those type of things. So that's something that he passed on to me too. Like, okay, listen, in a general sense, as a child of God, you are something special. But as a black man, you are also something special. And so I think we really have to start teaching, because we talked about it earlier, a lot of stuff we don't know, like you said, because we ain't teaching. And so that's something that I try to do, is like everybody that I come in contact with, I'm going to give you all the information that I know. I'm going to let you sort through it. Keep what you feel is viable to you. The stuff that you don't feel viable, put it in your back pocket, because it might help you later. And then take that and other information that you get, then put the pieces together. And so you will have a stronger sense of who you are. And then that'll touch, once you know who you are, it spills over into every other area of your life.
For sure.
And I'll wrap it like this, because that was beautiful. Do we call that a soliloquy? I've been out of school for a long time.
I'm about to say.
But that was a great way to end it. And I'll just say, as one of the few ethnic groups that have been disenfranchised from their roots, I do think that it's imperative that we go back as far as we can individually into who we are to pass on that. And that is one of the reasons I think, like,
Pre-slavery.
if you don't pre-slavery,
be clear.
if you do decide to date interracially, if you don't instill your own culture, they'll be Americanized and you'll lose everything.
You're gonna get down the line, like he said. You will definitely start losing stuff.
So I'll wrap it like that, man. Peace and love to the gods and the goddesses. I go by the name Black.Poet. This has been No PC Radio. If y'all want to shout out your Johns, you can.
Shelby Love with 3 for the E on all things.
Iron Spiritual K, all platforms.
Ingenious Music on Instagram, Ingenious Key on all music platforms.
She's a great artist.
Very great.
Period.
I'm Chioki at King Bracy on Instagram. It's private, so you're gonna have to send a request. And then Chioki Bracy on Facebook.
Oh, one last thing. I give out vocal tips. So if you want to follow that on TikTok, it's Ingenious Music, where you can help build your vocal confidence.
Ooh.
And I'll say, I've gotten the opportunity to hear you minister, and you are a great deliverer of the word.
Period.
Yeah, that was ironically the message you gave that day was exactly an answer to something I was thinking about with the Most High. So that's dope. Divine timing. We out.
Period.
Peace.
Peace.